Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Nature Journal. I can't believe this, but we're already a quarter of the way through the year, and so a quarter of the way through this YouTube project. Today I'm going to show you 3 different ways of laying out pages with pressed flowers. But first, I thought we'd just have a little flick through those first 3 months of 2022. So getting started on this, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to approach it with the botanical inks, with the flower pressings. This is a new way of working for me, but I think throughout January I kind of got in the swing of how this was going to work. You'll see I don't go chronologically through the month, so we've got the 31st here right next to the 14th, next to the 20th, but I kind of lay out the pages just putting in drawings among all the other drawings as appropriate. So moving on into February, and feeling quite comfortable now in the methodology and creating whole pages using different materials and combining pressings and drawings, different drawings on the same page. And then into March, really starting to add a lot more colour, taking inspiration from old maps, from photographs of landscapes, and from how plants arrange themselves in the natural world. So now we're on into April, and we're in the second quarter of the year now. I've got lots of interesting stainings on these pages to work with, so this should be an interesting month in terms of page layouts, right through to here, and this is the beginning of May. So today I'm going to show you 3 time lapses. Firstly, getting started with the very first page of April and just how I laid this out with the weather observations and a little grape hyacinth and the title. Then we're going to take a look at the laying out of the celandine, and finally at this red campion page. Let's start out laying out this page for April. And writing in the weather observations, catching up for the month. We've been having a lot of very April spring showers weather, lots of really bright sunshine, and then very heavy rain or hail showers. So we've got a grape hyacinth that I've taken out of my press that I want to put in here, and I'm going to use similar sort of font to what I did in February. And in March. This is my own style of writing, and it keeps on evolving. I don't take it too seriously. Now I'm going back to this page in March, and I already did the painting to create the leaves of this plant, but I wanted to lay the pressed flowers on the top to get the effect of what they look like when they're open out in the sun. I'm gluing them in with EVA glue, and I'm putting a coat underneath on the bottom of the flower, popping it onto the page with some tweezers, and then putting a layer of glue over the top. But moving on to this page here with the red campion, so this is an April page, and red campion's out quite a lot in the countryside at the moment, around where I live. It was a lot harder to maintain this method. Firstly, I just wanted to lay out a few different ideas of how I could put these flowers onto the page. I immediately liked the full plants being laid along the bottom, but tried out a few different ideas with the flowers around the top. Now, when I used my usual method of painting the glue straight onto these flowers, these have been in the press for a very long time. It's an antique press, and I had the flowers in there when I acquired it, so they've probably been in there for decades. They're really thin, and the petals kept on tearing all the time when I was trying to paint the glue onto the back of the flower using the brush. So in the end I decided to use this technique and instead put the glue straight onto the page and then paint the flowers onto the glue gently with the brush. And because I had broken so many of them, I decided to accumulate them, and they make this really beautiful patterning. There's like these little star shapes from underneath from the beginnings of the bud, and using those to create a design. And when you layer them up like this, you're almost painting with the flower, and it doesn't matter if you have breakages. What you're doing is you're making a wall of colour using the flower petals themselves. So if you do ever break your flowers or leaves when they come out of the press, don't worry too much. You can use this technique to still create something beautiful. So I've used 3 different layouts here with the pressed flower. Just a single flower on this bookmark for the month. A more realistic style of trying to capture how the plants grow in the wild by first painting the leaves and then sticking down the pressed flower. And finally a technique for if it all goes wrong and if you break some petals, you can still make a really effective design. I hope you found that useful and enjoyed the little look back through my journal so far. Let me know in the comments if you got to the end of the video, and tell me what your favourite page so far is. Otherwise, of course, please do like the video, go check out my links and my Patreon, and the next video will be back in the woods again. I've been visiting the local woods every month and catching up with all of the changes outside in my nature journal. As always, thank you very much for your support and for watching through the video, and I'll see you next time.